Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Up in the Clouds. Today's episode we are going to get a little weird, a little spooky, whatever you want to call it. Let's get started. I just had something really weird happen. So today I want to talk to you about my personal experiences with death, loss, grief, kind of, and how I believe that all those experiences sort of led me to where I am at this place with my guardian angels, and get into like angel numbers and spirit, I believe like a lot of my angels are like my spirit guides and stuff. So yeah, let's get started. First, I want to tell you guys a story that I really wanted to tell somebody and I just haven't been able to tell anybody, so I'm really excited. I had to pause because someone had their music very, very loud outside, and something with this new, oh my God, hold on. Okay, and then something with this new mic is it picks up every sound. Like I recorded an episode and I had the dishwasher on and it like picked up all those sounds, so I had to re-record on this whole episode. So yeah, okay, let's get to the story. So I have been having a lot of weird like instances. Things I've been manifesting have been coming into fruition like quicker and quicker. Like I like little examples, I manifested getting my hair done without having to pay for it. I manifested getting my nails done without having to pay for it. I manifested a new jacket, a new couch, all without having to pay for it. Like it just came to me. And the other day it snowed pretty bad here and I had to go to work, and I went outside like a little bit earlier. So I have to walk to my car. I live downtown, so they have like parking structures, or not structures, wait, it's not that nice. Parking like lots for people who live downtown. So I have to like park and walk to get to my car. And I went earlier, like down to my car normally than I normally do because I knew it snowed, but I didn't realize like how much it snowed. It actually had snowed way more than I originally thought. And I was like, oh my God, like I am never gonna, like my car is like, they plow the parking lots like super horribly. Like they do not do a good job plowing them at all. So I was like, oh my God, like I'm never gonna get out, whatever. And I was like, I'm gonna have to walk to work. Like, this is why I should keep a shovel like in my car. And I was just like going through all these in my head. And this man appears out of nowhere. Like I was thinking in my head too of like, oh, it's winter break. Like literally nobody I know is here. And the people I do know are here, live in apartments. Like there's no way they have a shovel. And I was just like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. And this man appears out of nowhere. Like, I don't even know where he came from. He just all of a sudden was like, hey, do you need me to help shovel you out? And I was like, it was weird. Like, when like something happens and you're just like, oh, that's just a coincidence. Like, no, it was so weird, you guys. It was so weird. So just like little things like that. When I was at the grocery store to buy like my cat Oliver his food at the grocery store, I was gonna wait and go to this pet store that I live down above. And I live next to it. I don't actually know. It's like here and then, so I live next to it. It's like pet store. And I was going to go there to get his food. And all of a sudden I was just looking though to see what brands they had, to see if they even had the cat brand that I was like looking for. And I was like looking at this one and this lady goes, oh, are you going to buy that brand of cat food? And I was like, I didn't even answer. She goes, because here's a coupon for it. And I was like, well, I wasn't going to, but I am now. Like, it was like a $3 off coupon. It was actually like really cool. So, and something with manifesting money is like learning how to like change your phrasing and how you talk about money, like not saying I'm broke, not using the word expensive. Those are just like little things that I've been like trying to do to like change to like manifest in more money. I'm trying not to like keep that vibration of, where I'm at with money, right? So to change it, you have to be at And so I was trying to change my verbiage, like how I use money. So I went into the grocery store and I was like, I am not gonna look at the price of anything. I'm just gonna put it in my cart and I'm just gonna buy everything that I need for myself, because I was eating like one meal a day. I wasn't using any spare money that I had to get myself food, and or I was like borrowing money from people for food, so I like wasn't buying a lot of food, and I just like really had like no food. And I was like, this has got to change. I got to eat healthier. I was slipping back into like old habits that I didn't like and messing with me mentally. And I was like, okay, we need to get out of this habit. Like, we need to change it up, whatever. And I was like not looking at price. I was just putting things in my cart and just getting whatever I had on my list and things that I needed. And I get to the checkout and I'm just like not even watching her. Like, I'm not even watching the number, just to not even give myself anxiety. I'm literally sitting there saying affirmations in my head. I'm like, money comes back to me multiplied, money comes back to me multiplied, money comes easily, money is replaceable, I'm doing something good for myself, blah, blah, blah. And then I hand her the coupon for the cat food and she rings it. My total was literally 111. She goes, okay, your total is $111. I was actually grateful in that moment to be wearing a mask because my jaw was dropped. I was like, what? I think I like hesitated for a moment. I was like, and then I was like laughing to myself. I was like, oh my God. So it just kind of was that like instant like gratification from my angels that I was doing the right thing for myself. I, wasn't going overboard with anything. Everything I bought that I needed to I'm trying to get a better, healthier diet and not just eat one meal a day, like what I was doing, and, actually like eat healthier things. And, it was really, really, crazy. So yeah, which I'll kind of, when we get to that segment, I'll explain more about my angel numbers, but 111 was the first one that I ever started seeing. So I just thought that was really cool, really fun story I wanted to share with you guys, for all you, people out there. Okay, so this is going to be a 2-part series. So part 1, I'm going to explain all the losses of like the deaths in my life that I've experienced, and sort of how it's like a intro into like things I've experienced with like ghosts and spirits and stuff. And then part 2 is going to be an entire segment for Abby, just kind of like her story, or like kind of like our friendship story, her story, things that have happened like since she has passed with us, and sort of my current connection and relationship that I have been very blessed to have with her, and kind of like it's gonna get deeper into that. So I'm gonna make it into a 2-part series, because otherwise this is gonna be like a 3-hour episode, and I don't want to do that to you guys. So let's start with segment 1 of part 1. So to understand why I have such connection with my guardian angels and why I feel I have the thing the weird like connection I do, is because I experienced death at a very young age. The first funeral that I remember going to, I was about 4, was my cousin Bradley. He died tragically in a car accident. I remember his funeral very specifically, which is kind of crazy because me personally, I don't remember a lot of things from my childhood. I don't even remember like family vacations, like things like that. So I feel like to vividly remember something like that is pretty crazy. So I remember it because they had I think this is why I remember it, because they had an open casket. And whether I consciously obviously I was 4, so I didn't even consciously realize that I was looking at a dead body, but I was looking at a dead body. And I remember I looked at my mom and I was so confused, because obviously he looked so perfect, and because they do all the makeup and stuff, and I was like, Mom, why is Bradley sleeping? Like, we're all why are we all here and Bradley's just sleeping? And she just was like, oh, Courtney, and just like started crying. But I specifically remember that. I don't remember anything before, I don't remember anything after. Like, I just remember that like so vividly in my mind, and I always have, like always. I used to like talk to him all the time when I was like little and stuff. And then the second death that I experienced was another, this one here. Let me give a little backstory. So I grew up Lutheran, and we are taught at a very, very young age, about heaven and hell, and there's always something after this. And I just really firmly have always believed that my whole life. And I've never really questioned it at all, that there was anything. I've always believed that there was something after this. I may have went through a period of time where I questioned if heaven was real, hell was real, but I always knew that there was something. Like, I knew there was some sort of like afterlife. I really have always firmly believed that. I've never really questioned it. Like, I've never believed that life was the end. Okay. And I just feel like that's because I was taught really young that it wasn't. And when you're raised your whole life to believe something, it's hard to change that. I mean, maybe not for some people, but I don't know. I just feel like I've always believed it. I've always firmly, solidly believed that life was not the end. And the second death that I experienced was one of my friends, like he was in my brother's grade, and our school was very small, so it was like kindergarten had their own room, and then first and second grade, third and fourth, fifth and sixth, seventh and eighth, like we're all in a room. So every other year my brother and I would be in a classroom together, and he didn't have a lot of kids like in his grade. And like at one point he was like the only kid in his grade for like a solid like amount of time. And I think he was in first and I was in second, or maybe I was in first, he was in kinder. No, I think I was in second and he was in first. But it was somebody, one of his friends died pretty tragically with his grandparents, and it was another open casket. And I feel like that's like why I remember it so vividly, and remember like looking at him and stuff. So that was pretty crazy. But I remember like the pastor being like don't cry, like you'll see him again, blah blah blah, like he's in heaven now, he's in a good place. Like, yeah, pretty just crazy. Just open caskets, I get what they're trying to do, but I just feel like personally they're very creepy to me and just weird and uncomfortable, and I feel like it had left its mark on me, pretty young. And then the next significant death in my life, I was in high school, so I remember everything. I remember feeling the feelings. I remember the whole situation. It was my uncle, Rob. He was diagnosed with, he was really sick, and then when they figured out what was wrong with him, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And he had they told him originally it was 3 months to live. And then the next day we got a call. He had gotten really, really sick, and they were like, okay, he has 2 weeks to live. And my dad's like, okay, we're going to go, let's go see him this weekend. And we were planning when we were going to go see him. And then I got another call the next day. They said that he was gone. So the weekend we were planning on going to visit him ended up being, we were going for the funeral. It was a lot in a short amount of time. It was just really crazy how quickly everything the whole situation had changed. It was boom, 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 boom. And obviously I talked about it in episode 4, kind of my dad is just not very an emotional person. So seeing him cry for the first time was crazy. It was and my dad's side has my grandparents had gravestones already picked out. Some of my aunts and uncles already had spots in this grave site picked out. And so when Bradley passed away unexpectedly, they put Bradley in my Uncle Rob's grave site. So then when we were having because that was his son. So then when we were having the funeral for him, it kind of brought a lot of that up, because then people were being reminded of Bradley, and it was so sad. And my aunt was just a complete wreck, and she's just an angel. So it was just really, really awful. And every year around Christmas, my uncle would make these like this like peanut brittle, and he would like ship it out to us like around the holidays and stuff. So I get kind of sad around the holidays, and whenever I see like peanut brittle, I always think of him. And Johnny Cash always makes me think of him too, because I remember one time being younger, him playing like an old like circle, like I don't even know, like a record, yeah, a record player, like a big like record player of Johnny Cash, like on like repeat. So that's something I like vividly remember about him. And then the next death after that was pretty traumatic. It was my friend Craig. So in high school, I was very good friends with like my brother and his friends, and he was like somebody who was friends with me and my brother. He used to come over all the time and have like sleepovers like with all like a bunch of our other friends. And we used to go to this like haunted road, which was like 20 minutes away from Oconomowoc, and it was called Paradise Road. We used to go there all the time and just like have like really cool, weird experiences there. And that was just kind of like our thing. And after high school, we like, just lost touch, hadn't talked in a while, hadn't seen him for a while. And I got the call that he had passed away in his sleep from an asthma attack. And I was driving, I had to pull over. I just was sobbing. I just couldn't, it was like the first like younger death that I like, was old enough to realize. Like the kid that passed away in my brother's grade when we were younger, I was so young. And the only thing I vividly even remember was like seeing his body, like I don't really remember like memories with him. And like, I don't even know if my brother remembers like memories. But yeah, this was one that was just like really crazy and out of nowhere as well. And it was just really hard. And yeah, it was crazy. And then not even a year later, this other kid that used to hang out with me and my brother, and he was like on our bus route, so obviously like we would hang out on the bus and stuff, passed away from an overdose. And it wasn't, like I said, not even a year later. There had been a few kids before him and then a few after, like all around the same age, that passed away. And it was just sort of like really eerie from the town I went to high school in. And it was just like kind of like that weird, like, are we, like, I don't know, at least I was like, oh my God, Oconomowoc is cursed. Like, that's kind of like how it was. There's just so many deaths in such a short amount of time, and like they'd all died differently. Like it wasn't just like one way. Like there was a few overdoses. Like there was like a suicide one. Craig was an asthma attack, and there was this other kid who died of like a heart attack. He was like running a marathon, and it was just really like weird and crazy. So yeah, Dale was the last one. And then after that, I dated this guy. He was the reason I even came to Whitewater in the first place. We dated like solidly for a year, and then we were like rocky for like two, like on and off for like two after that. And he, maybe it was like less than that, maybe like a year and a half, like rocky. I don't really remember, but we were not on, we were off. And his sister passed away unexpectedly, and she was like significantly older than him. So she had children and stuff. And that was a really, really traumatic funeral, because I remember her kids just crying and screaming for her. And it was just really like, she was just such an amazing person. She was always like a really like an angel, sort of a light, like the comedian, like when I went to family events with him. And I just remember like she was just so funny. And yeah, so that was the death was pretty impactful. I would say like one of definitely like, I mean, no funeral is ever good, but like when comparing, like it was top at the time. Like I thought my Uncle Rob's funeral was bad. Like this one was like even harder, and it was just like so painful and so sad. And then we get to Miss Abigail May Connor, my best friend. She was also my roommate at the time. She had gone to Mexico for winter break with her family, and she had been murdered there. And, like I said, she's gonna be part 2. I'm gonna go way more in depth in part 2 about what I know. I don't really know a lot still. There's still so much that's, hasn't been made public, and there's still so much that we don't know. So many weird, which I'll talk about more because she deserves. Yeah, so so that was probably the most traumatic one that I had experienced. It was the closest to me. I had to see her bedroom, and I lived with another girl at the time, and it was just very hard for the both of us. We didn't really do a lot after, we were very closed off to a lot of people, and in the beginning there were a lot of rumors about what happened. The full truth hadn't been out. A lot of hearsay. And when it did kind of come out, it was like around the summer. So Abby passed away in January, and then around the summer, it kind of came out what was, like, there was foul play, that it wasn't like her accidentally drowning, kind of more light on the situation. And then her parents had been on Good Morning America in the morning, and I got, the link, and I was watching it, and I was crying. And then I was just laying there, and I was just really sad. And my brother texted me saying that my abusive ex-boyfriend had passed away. And I just remember what a weird parallel that was. And I just remember that experience of like, here's one person, Abby, that I would literally do anything for her to be back on this earth. And then I get this message about someone who ruined my life, who had tortured me, had, traumatized me, had ruined so much for me, was no longer on this earth anymore. And it was such a weird, like, clash of parallels that I just, to this day, will never fully understand, like, why that had to be in the same day. And yeah, so that was really weird. I don't want to be like, I don't mean it as bad as it probably will sound, but it was just like sort of a relief to, like, that he can't hurt me anymore, that he's not on this planet to hurt me anymore. And it was like, hopefully I was like, oh, okay, I hope he finds peace. Like, he was a very, very troubled person. He had a lot of like personal like demons in his mind. And I just was like, I really hope he finds the peace that he never had here. And so let's kind of shift. So I went to a medium a few months after Abby had passed away, because I was seeing the number 111 or 1111 like all the time, like to a point where I noticed it. So obviously I work at a pharmacy, so I work with numbers. So when you see a number all the time, that's just like you happen to jump on the computer, or you happen to grab a prescription to fill it, and it's it's just like, it's very easy to notice. Or you look at your phone and it's 11:11, or you're like playing music and you grab your phone and there's like 11 minutes left, or just like weird instances where I was seeing this number all the time. And one of my part-time pharmacists at the time had told me that his wife was a medium. He told me that after Abby passed away, and if I ever wanted to talk to her, whenever I felt ready to come to her. And I remember I asked him, I was like, what is this? Can you ask her what this means? Like, I'm seeing this number all the time. Does it have something to do with Abby? Is it has something not with Abby, And she was like, have her come talk to me. I need to talk to her. And I was like, ah. Like, I had never done anything like that, obviously, like never experienced anything like that. Like, I had no idea like what to expect, kind of. And so I went there, and it was truly a crazy experience. I'll kind of talk about the Abby part more, like what during her episode, like what I experienced, like with, her and a medium. And my ex, actually, my abusive one, was there. He came and talked to me, asked me for forgiveness. His spirit was like crying, and it was very unexpected. I was not expecting him to be there, let alone ask me for forgiveness. And it was sort of like a weird, like, I feel like that was like my closure, my moment where I was like, time to heal from this, Like, it was like, okay, I had accepted his apology. I had given him forgiveness. I had granted that to him. And yeah, it was just really, truly surreal. In part 2, I'll talk about Abby's experiences because it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I would highly recommend ever going to like finding a medium, like finding someone you trust. Like, use your gut instinct. Some people are only out there for money. You know, this lady that I go to, or I've been to a few times, she doesn't ever charge. So that's was my first like comfort. Like, okay, she's not charging me. She's not, what is she benefiting from this, you know? And so just finding somebody that you feel is not, you know, is a good, you know, you can tell, like, just trust your gut, trust your intuition, like tap into that, you know. And yeah, so it's a really cool experience, but you have to be open to it. You have to want it. You have to, because I definitely went with, you know, somebody who really wasn't that open to it, really wasn't that sure about it. And I could feel the energy change in Abby. Like, her energy was very different than when it was just me alone. And yeah, so I would just say be open to it. You know, don't go seeking it if you're not open to it. And, you know, the spirit can tell when you're open and when you're not open. So that would be my, so that was my first angel number that I started seeing. And then it was 222. I would see all the time. And now I see them all the time. Like, now I have new numbers like every other week. No, I'm just so exaggerating. I have a new number probably like every like 3 months or so. I don't even know, actually. I just like all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I have been seeing, like, I'm like, I'll see one, and then I'm like, oh, I just happened to look at the clock at that time. And then I'll see it again, and then I'll be like, okay, that's just a weird coincidence. And then I'll like see it all the time, and they're like, no, we're trying to tell you something. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So when I went to a medium, she gave me this book, which has every combination of numbers you can think of. So not only is it repeated numbers, you can see numbers like personal numbers. Like, I see, like, the past month or so, I've been seeing 429, which is my birthday, April 29th. I see 137 or 713, which is not a repeated number, obviously, but I see like different combinations, which is kind of cool. And then I see 126 or 216, which, like I said, different number combinations. But it's not always like that. It's just like, it just happens, you know. And yeah, so I'll see certain numbers all the time. The numbers that I've been seeing lately are 555 and what was the other one? Oh, I see 333 a lot. 444, which that is probably related to the 222, you know, because they're like, you know, 4 plus 4. So yeah, so 555 and 777 are the ones that I've been seeing lately. So I saved my real and raw reaction for you guys. So let's see what it says. So 777, because I haven't looked it up yet, because I've been waiting, because I've been wanting to do it for this episode. 777. You are definitely on the right path in every area of your life. Stay balanced and spiritually aware so that you can continue moving forward on this illuminated path. Oh my God, you guys, this is crazy because I have been in consumption mode when it comes to law of attraction, manifesting stuff. I was reading this book about empaths, like I had talked about in one of my episodes, and it was kind of saying like, what is a good career choice for empaths? And one of the career choices was being like a life coach, like a spiritual mindset, wellness, like life coach. And I was telling one of my friends, and it turns out this girl we knew was one, and I reached out to her and asked her some information. So I've been in consumption mode, trying to find the right program, trying to find the right people, connect with the right things of what I want to do. I asked her what program she did. I looked into it. I found other programs, and I've just been, like I said, in consumption mode, like just praying that the angels will lead me to the right people, the right path, and what program I should do. And I just had a phone call with a lady not that long ago about this program that she does, which helps, heal you first. And then she teaches you like the business side. So she goes through all the stuff and like healing you first, and then does into the business, like helps you like jumpstart like your business to find your like soulmate clients, which I just truly loved the way she worded it. And she's just very spiritual, and I just was very drawn to her and her energy. So I made the leap to like decide that I wanted to, enroll in her academy and stuff, and just like had her like like put me down, and, you know, working on like a payment plan with her to like figure out like, you know, how to get, you know, be able to afford to do it. And so yeah, that's really cool. It's just kind of, this is like seeing this number all the time lately, and now reading it is just sort of like confirmation that I'm doing the right things. I'm finding the right people. I'm, you know, trusting my soul and my gut. Like I talked to this one lady who was like had a program, and she didn't even know what an empath was. I was like, how are you a spiritualist and you don't even know what the term empath is? I feel like that's the most, like, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty, it was just, I was very like immediately like guard up, wall up, you know, didn't want to, yeah. So I feel like that was like my confirmation, you guys, that I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path. I'm excited. Okay, that just made me really excited. I cannot wait now. Okay, 555. Huge changes are rumbling throughout your entire life. To keep these changes on the highest possible course, be sure to keep your thoughts positive and stay centered in prayer and affirmations. You guys, this is crazy. I am like beyond shook, more than I can even describe to you. I'm just like, feel like this is like my confirmation that everything I've been doing is like on the right path, and I just need to keep in that high vibe, like keeps, you know. So yay, that's, you know, so yeah, this is super cool. And you know, when I first got this book and I read 111, like it made absolutely no sense. So sometimes you start seeing numbers before they even make sense. Now when I read 111, like it makes so much sense in my life. So 111 says like this number brings you the urgent message that your thoughts are manifesting instantly. So keep your mindset focused upon your desires and give any fearful thoughts to heaven. So when I first read that, I was like, this makes absolutely no sense. This has nothing to do with Abby. But now in my life, learning about the law of attraction, learning about manifesting, learning about like, you know, that you can have the life that you want. You just have to have the right mind for it. This makes way more sense. So sometimes it doesn't make sense right away, but it'll eventually make sense. And 111 is a number that I still see now. And that was almost 4 years ago, like when I first started seeing it. So yeah, like it just, like I said, didn't make sense then, but it makes so much sense now. So sometimes that can happen. And you can even like, say you see a number all the time, you come to me and I read to you what it means. And you're like, doesn't really like make any sense to my life. You can even just Google it. Like honestly, you can just Google like whatever number you see, angel number meaning. And there's like different articles, different websites. I did that, you know, when I would see a number and I would read it in the book and I'd be like, this really doesn't make any sense. So I would do more research and find, you know, there's just a bunch of different places, a bunch of different, you know, it's not just one meaning, there's a bunch of meanings, and it's just sort of like taking that, like what resonates with you feeling, and that's just learning how to trust your gut. And it's just sort of like, you know, this meaning makes more sense for me than this one or whatever. And yeah, and so you can kind of use numbers as your sign. Like I used numbers when I was actually in a situation where I was debating between my feelings for two people. I was stuck. Like I had one person that I really had feelings for, and then I had somebody else that I really had feelings for, and I just was like, okay, angels, like give me a sign. And they gave me a sign with numbers that kind of showed me, you know, who I should be, you know, who I should put my time and energy to, who is, you know, maybe not necessarily that person, but like somebody like person B over person A. And I mean, in the end, I ended up choosing my own journey. I ended up choosing self-love first, because you can't be the best person. You can't be in a best healthy relationship when you're not good yourself. So I, chose self-love. I've been like working on my, relationship with myself first before I even start thinking about a relationship with another person. And so in the end, we chose self-love. So, but yeah, that you can ask for signs with numbers. You can ask for signs with literally anything. Like there was one time I asked for a sign and I said, okay, you know, this is it. I want to see a blue butterfly. And yeah, you can like say you're choosing between like schools or grad schools or maybe where you even want to live. Like you could be like, okay, if I should live here, I want to see a bluebird. And if I should live here, I should see a purple bird. And be open to it. Look for it, you know, and it'll show up in your life. Like it could be instantly, like it could be, you know, it could take weeks, it could take months. It just depends on, they will show you the sign when they think you're ready for the answer. That's like what I've learned in my experiences with signs and stuff. I can't wait to kind of go into, you know, in Abby's episode, like when, like all the signs I've received from her, all of her little, like in the beginning, it was crazy. I got crazy signs from her all the time. So I'm really excited to like share with you all those cool experiences that I had with her, like right from the beginning. And yes, you could literally have like you can literally ask for anything. And anytime I'm in a rut, like the other day, it was like right before the winter solstice. So there was a lot of like energy collectively going on in the earth, and I just wasn't, you know, doing well. I hadn't been sleeping. Like I think I slept a total of 8 hours in like 3 days. And I woke up for work with this horrible, horrible headache. And I just was like, I don't want to go to work. I've never called in. I've worked there for almost 5 years. I've never called in, and I don't want to go to work. And so I literally said to the angels, I was like, if I need a break and if I should call in from work and just use like sick time, like I want to see ahead, and if I should go in, I'll do a tail. So I literally just flipped a coin. I was like, like doing some like fancy little tricks that I do. Landed it, it was heads. And then I was like, okay, we're gonna do it one more time. I was like, make a confirmation one more time. So I did it again, my little tricks. Heads again. So just something even like simple like that. Like you can just ask, like, you know, for literally something as silly as like, do I need to take a break? Like should I take a sick day from work? You know, something literally even like that, you can ask for a sign. So it's really cool. And like I said, it has to be open to it. You know, look for it, pay attention to it. Do I believe that all of my experiences with death have made me have like such a strong connection to the spirit world? Yes, I do. Do I necessarily think you need to have as many experiences of death that I've had? No. No, I don't think so. I think if you have anybody significantly on the other side, that's going to pull you to that, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of, and then the next significant death was my grandpa. He was like 94. So it was like a different sort of like peaceful sort of death. He was suffering from dementia. He kind of like really didn't remember any of us anymore. He was in a lot of pain. He was very sick, you know, all of that stuff. And then the last significant death that I've had to experience that really impacted me as a person was actually somebody that I didn't know, but it was a music artist who was my idol, someone who's a huge inspiration to me. I'm going to say present tense, like he is one of my favorite artists. It was Mac Miller. That was a really, really traumatic and hard death. That was the first time I really like understood like that you can be affected by losing somebody that you didn't know necessarily. Because I was a wreck. I didn't leave my bed for like 3 days. I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and listened to his music on repeat. It was actually really, really depressing. But I was so sad and so confused, and so yeah, there were a lot of emotions going on there. But you know, his music had saved me in a time in my life, and I'd seen him like a few times. I've seen him in his hometown, like just a really big Mac Miller fan. I even have these like tattoos that he had on his hands. He had a lot of tattoos on his hands, but if he has like a red heart, like it's filled in, I just haven't filled it in. And then yeah, the peace sign. See, that was the last death, significant one. That's just been really hard. I mean, when Peep and Juice passed away, that was really hard because I knew that they were someone, you know, for other people, like they were someone's Mac, you know? So I understood and I collectively kind of felt everything everyone else was feeling, which is one of my blessings of being an empath, is like being able to feel everything everyone else is feeling. So I like was pretty impacted by it, but nothing like Mac. So I would say like Mac is like the first significant like death of somebody that I didn't know that really, 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 really affected me. So yeah, it's just musically, I think Mac is one of my music guardian angels. It's really weird. I get a lot of like weird like I've been trying to pick an intro, outro to this episode, like a cover of something, and yeah, I just feel a lot of his presence, and I don't know if it's like from the tattoos that I'm like so musically connected to him, or I just like because I have like a weird connection in general that I just get a lot. It's just weird. And yeah, so you know, your angels are there for, like I said. I don't think it makes a difference if you have 10 angels, 1 angels, 2, you know, 1 angels, 1 angel. I think if you choose that you want to connect with them, I do it through meditation a lot, is how I kind of connect with my angels. If I'm, you know, I'm meditating and I'm trying to figure something out. Like that's how I wrote my first 9 episodes, was I was meditating and I was very connected with my angels and just sort of like, you know, asking them for like signs and stuff and like, you know, give me ideas, like put ideas in my mind and stuff like that. And so that's like they are there in more ways than your human brain could ever like understand. And that's just like a really cool thing that we have access to that a lot of people don't even know, that you don't have to be you don't even have to have any experience before. As long as you believe in it and you're open to it, you have access to your guardian angels whenever you want, which is really cool. Do I believe that the more death you experience makes it easier? Because that's something I've been asked before. No, absolutely not. I think, to be honest, me personally, because I literally feel everything, I think it honestly has made it harder. I don't think it's made it any easier. I think that, yeah, like I said, it gets harder and harder because then it's just like, for me personally, it's just, oh, there's another one up there, you know, like it's just kind of sad. I don't think the more deaths make you, and if you do get numb to it, like, I mean, congrats to you, but I don't think I can ever be numb to anything unless it's from a substance. Like I feel everything. It's like, I've learned how to deal with it, but in the beginning it used to be very overwhelming, and that's nice to be able to enjoy drinking, enjoy, you know, like without having to just use it as, you know, a barrier to just numb the pain. You know, it's just now I can actually to enjoy and not to just numb the pain, push out whatever I'm like trying not to feel. So it's really cool to kind of grow in that aspect. Yeah, so how did I know I was intuitive? I always have, like, I think it was just from like experiencing death so young, have had an interest in ghosts. I've always believed in ghosts. I used to have really bad night terrors when I was younger, because I have like a photographic memory that it was very prominent when I was younger. So when I would watch scary movies, I would like sleep and I would just close my eyes and I would just see it in my mind like so vividly and perfectly. And I used to get nightmares all the time, and that's when I started having to sleep with a TV on. I could not sleep without a TV in my room. And I still to this day don't fall asleep without a TV on. I'm still definitely afraid of the dark. It's a little bit easier like when I sleep next to other people, but I'm still very afraid of the dark. And it turns out that's a very common trait from other empaths. I'm in this like empath like group on Facebook, and yeah, there's a lot of other empaths that have a fear of the dark. So that's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that that was stemming from, I just thought it was from like my hyperactive memory. So yeah, I've always had like I guess like a lot of that is tied to like there could be like when I was talking to one of my friends who is a medium, she said that there could be ties like from like negative entities in childhood that would like terrorize me. It was like more than just my own, you know, they fed off my fear from my own mind, you know? And so that was really scary because I was like, oh, that's terrifying. There's negative entities that can stick to you like generationally. So if like there was like a generational entity like negative that was like on your grandma or your mom, like that can, you know, stick to you, which is really crazy. The first time I ever had like a real experience where I didn't even realize, but then, you know, talking to mediums and stuff made me realize that experience had happened. And it wasn't a normal thing, that just like that didn't happen to everybody, you know. We went to this house. My friend went to school in Madison for college, and we went to this house party. And Madison has a lot of old houses, like older houses and stuff. And we went to this like house party, and everybody was up in the attic, and there was like this chair that was like, there's like, you know, those like little attic windows, like there was this chair that was like in front of this like little attic window, and I was like, that's really creepy. Like instantly I felt like sick. Instantly I was like uncomfortable, like nauseous, and I just like couldn't stop looking at it. And my friend was like, oh, this is the guy who lives here, like introduced me to him, and I was like, nice to meet you. Why is that chair over there? Like I literally like was just like, what is that doing over there? And he was like, oh yeah, we try to move it all the time and it just always goes back. And I was like, we need to get out of here. I was like, let's go. We're not staying anymore. I was very instantly like, nope, can't be here. Uncomfortable. Like I knew that there was like, I felt it like in my body, and I just like, that was like confirmation for me, like, let's go. We left so quickly. I was like, yeah, I can't be here anymore. So yeah, that was the first. And I didn't even realize that was like, it could be considered an experience until I was like sitting down with a medium, and I really like learned, you know, more about like my experiences and stuff. And yeah, that's actually like a pretty crazy experience now that I'm really like thinking about it. Like the fact that my body was the one telling me like beforehand. And then, so Whitewater is a very haunted town. It's known as Second Salem. I've done a whole semester project about it. If you're ever curious about anything that's happened in this town, ask me. I did like a 40-page project about Whitewater, so I know so much about the history and stuff. It's actually really interesting and cool if you ever want to hear about it. Let me know, message me, and I will give you all the details. And oh yeah, so my friend was moving into this house, and she had invited me over to see it like before she was either like about to move stuff in or was like just like looking at the place. I don't really like fully remember, or maybe she had just gotten the keys that day or something. And instantly I had like such a weird feeling. I was like, I do not like, even just from the outside, I was like, whoa, you're gonna live here? And then she had this room with like a little crawl space, it was like almost like a mini closet kind of. But I walked in there and I was like, oh, I hate that. Like I was like, that I don't like that. Like I don't like it at all. And she like opened it, and I just was like instantly just like really just weird feelings. And I think she got her keys and like didn't have to move in. Like her old lease wasn't up yet. You know, she got her keys before like overlapping places. And right around the time she was supposed to move in, or maybe already moved in, I had a really, really intense nightmare. Like a really vivid dream. I still remember it like so vividly, where like there was like something that happened, and it was like it had a lot to do with that door. And I remember I was like, I told her, I was like, I don't even want to tell you this dream at all. Like, I didn't want to tell her. She didn't want to know. She was like, please don't tell me. She experienced a lot of weird stuff at the house. A lot of weird dreams, sleep paralysis. She believed that it was something negative and dark that like was attached to her in that house. And my dream that I had was very negative and dark and very like scary. And I had ended up, after she moved out was when I told her like what the dream was, and she had very similar like dream to the one I had while she lived there. And it was just too weird and too many synchronicities. And yeah, so I would say, yeah, like it's, it's a blessing to kind of like be able to get bad vibes from things, because then I like, when I go to an apartment or a house, or like when I'm looking for new places, it's kind of nice, because then I'll be like, nope, instantly no. Yeah. And we had an entity at my last house that I lived in last year, because they knocked down the house that lived next to us, and the entity like jumped into our house because that house like got knocked down, and then they rebuilt it to a new house. So I'm wondering if homeboy went back into where his stomping grounds were and like now haunts that house, because we had a lot of weird stuff that happened. And my cat used to like meow like in this like corner of the like by the window, which is like exactly the window that looked to the old house. And it was just like shit would get knocked down all the time, or not all the time, but it happened like a few significant times, and it was just really weird. Yeah, so oh my God, I just was like playing with this, and I happened to look down, and it was one of my numbers. That's related to like my twin flame, so that's weird. Yeah, so really weird. I've had some really weird experiences with like ghosts and stuff. So let's see. Ooh, I'm kind of a lot. This is longer than I wanted it to be. So before we end with part 1, if there are any numbers that you see repeatedly all the time and you would like me to look them up for you, help you with your journey with angel numbers, like I said, it doesn't even have to be a repeated number. It can be just like a number that's not even repeated. Let me know. Reach out to me. I would love to dig in and help you figure out the meaning. Even go beyond the book, like do research for you if the one that's in the book doesn't resonate with you. If you want to connect with your guardian angels, like meditations I've used, whatever interests, whatever sparks you from this podcast and you feel the need to reach out to me, just do it. I would love to hear. If you want to know about my ghost stories, let me know. If you want to hear more about Whitewater, I'm also down to tell you. So next week we will do part 2 of Abby's. Yeah, I don't know if I will so her anniversary is on Tuesday. I've been super emotional about it. So I'm not really sure when next week I will do it. I feel like it's going to be very intense, and if I cry, I apologize. If I make you cry, I apologize. Yeah, so next week's Abby's. Please send me good vibes while I prepare to write it out and do it, because I'm very scared. Not scared, but it's just not something I've sat down and talked about, like, this since I've like, besides like going to mediums and stuff. So this is just really different, So yeah, reach out to me on Instagram, or if you have my like number or anything and you want to FaceTime me, please do. I would love to hear your experiences also, if you have cool ghost stories for me. If you just like, you have cool ghost experiences, and please reach out. I would love to hear it. I love anything that has to do with it. Like I said, I obviously spent a whole semester project on Whitewater, so this stuff interests me so much. So yeah, please reach out if you have any cool ghost stories you want to share with me. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this week's episode. I'm very nervous and excited to kind of go more into depth with my experiences with Abby. She's definitely my top guardian angel. She is very, very, very active in my life, and I'm very excited to kind of share that part of it. I'm not excited to share like the sad stuff, but I'm excited to share that part about it. So I'm sending you so much love and light for the rest of your week. I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful week. I love you all so much. Bye-bye.